Today I'm making lasagna and I'm going to be using the ragu sauce I made in a previous video. So there are many recipes for lasagna. This is my own particular take on it. It's fairly simple. So I'm going to make a bechamel sauce by heating up a pan. It doesn't want to be too hot. I'm going to melt some butter in here. So I've got about 200 grams of butter. So the idea is to slowly melt the butter. You don't want to burn it. If it starts to go brown and starts sizzling, you know you're too hot. So just let it melt nice and slowly. It's a little bit too hot, so I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Okay, so it's all melted, it's nice and yellow, no brownness. Now I'm going to add a cup of flour. And mix this in. There we are, we're too hot. So I'm going to actually turn the heat off and mix this into a paste. Now I'm going to add a cup of milk. Turn the heat back on, low heat, and you want to stir this until it's all mixed in. I tend not to use exact quantities. I add a little milk first and then I add some more later, because this will thicken. So there, the paste has now mixed in with the milk, and that is going to need a lot more milk, at least another probably 2 more cups. At this point I'm going to just start adding keep adding milk and stirring. The idea is the sauce will start boiling at some point and you will know when it's at the right thickness. It wants to be about the thickness of honey, a bit thicker than that perhaps. Remember, you're looking for a layer in the lasagna, so it doesn't want to be too thin. But if it's too thick, it'll be difficult to spread it on the lasagna. So just pourable is the ideal. Okay, it's just starting to bubble now. That's just about how you want it. So it'll pour easily. But it's not too thin. Okay, so now I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to add a few spices and herbs. I'm going to put in a little nutmeg, freshly ground whole nutmeg. You could also use the ready ground. Add a little bit of salt. Be careful with this, to taste really. I'm going to add some Parmesan cheese to this one and mix that all in. And we'll give it a try. Yes, that's about right. I'm using an oval shaped dish. It's easier to use a square rectangular one if you can. I add a little olive oil to the dish to stop anything sticking when it gets hot. Just spread that around a bit. Coat the base and the sides of the dish. I'm using shop-bought sheets of white lasagna. So I just break it up a little bit. If you have a square dish, as you can see, it would be easier, but this is okay. So we have a layer of pasta, a layer of the beef ragu sauce or bolognese sauce, that'll do about a centimetre perhaps, and a layer of the bechamel sauce. And repeat that until you have filled the dish. So another layer of pasta and so on. So I try to leave about a centimetre between the top of the lasagna and then the top of the dish, because when it's baking it tends to expand a little bit and it might overflow the dish. So I'm going to put a little more Parmesan cheese on the top of this. You might also use another hard cheese like cheddar or something. A little ground black pepper, just as a contrast to the cheese. So I'm going to cover it with tin foil because my oven tends to burn things, and I'm going to bake it for about 40 minutes. I will poke it with a knife after that time to see if the pasta has cooked through. Just scrunch the foil up at the edges. That way it holds onto the dish. There we go. The sun's coming out on the down, that's nice. I took the tin foil off for the last 10 or 15 minutes just to allow the lasagna to brown.